Bay in Michigan. This is like the third day, our last race of the series for the GL52 GL52 series. As we said before, this is going to be a distance race, so that we're going to start here and we're going to go upwind about a couple of miles. So we'll follow it and come on and off through the day. 3 minutes and 19 seconds left. You'll see the boats beginning to convert over here. You'll see the long series of port tack boats, and then they'll come over to starboard. The group's probably going to like the boat in right here, the boat in due to where it is on the land, and that you want to try to get as close as you can to the land because there's probably more breeze there. We have a whopping 4.5 knots right now, coming out of about 273. Line looks square to the wind. It's got to be a little bit confusing at home as we see all the boats in the back that are racing with the classes afterwards. So you'll see the 52s once they turn around and start setting up for the start. Katana, the first boat to tack around at 217. A little early, but boats are not moving too fast. And the issue here today is going to try to be in clear air and at either end of the starting line. Normally in a big fleet like this in light air, it's really hard for the middle boats to survive. So we'll see big fights probably here at the committee boat and maybe a little bit at the pin. 1 minute, 50 seconds to go. WindQuest is over. Jockeying along the line. We still see the Mockingbird and the Wizard. There, they both go at the same time. And the Prospector. Bob Hughes, the 19, coming in. WindQuest under them on starboard. Bob on port. Bob did a good job in winning both of the Mac races, the Port Huron race and the Chicago Mac race. Strong crew, strong team. Well done. 1 minute, 18 seconds. WindQuest going head to win here, trying to win the pin. But it's got a group of boats coming underneath them. Prospector for one. There's the Wizard. We'll see these three boats, and then with the Mockingbird trying to fight for this pin. 1 minute to go right there. It's a 1 minute gun. We look down the line, you've got the Natalie J already set up. With the Hooligan underneath, just above her, and the Katana above them. Katana's putting the bow down to get some pace on. We've got 40 seconds to go. This is, here we go, the usual suspects come pushing in. We're going to see a big lift up here on the WindQuest to try to stop these guys from coming in, which is the Prospector, the Wizard, and the Mockingbird. 20 seconds to go. Bow down here for the WindQuest. That means one of these boats has a shot to get in, probably the Mockingbird. Bow down up. Hooligan is close. Katana down there on the bottom end of the line. Natalie J, Hooligan, Katana, Heartbreaker, 2, 1. There and they're off. Bows are down. All clear is a call from the race committee. Mockingbird tacks right away. Can she clear them? Oh my God, Mockingbird, looks like Mockingbird fouls the Wizard at the start. Wizard had to tack away. She was on starboard. Mockingbird had crossed onto port. Hopefully she does her circles. We have no judges as we normally do, as this is a fleet race. WindQuest tacks over, nice lane, and so is there a nice lane here by the Peter Askew on the Wizard. The rest of the fleet still going to starboard. We see the Fjord tacked over. And Mockingbird puts up her protest flag. Very interesting. We have two protest flags here. Fjord tacks over. She couldn't make it across the Mockingbird. That group is all jammed up, probably now being held up by the Mockingbird, who's not going to let many of them tack. And he gives the freedom to let the Wizard and the WindQuest kind of get out And there does feel to be a little more pressure here on the right, the upwind right. Bob Hughes has kind of snuck out of that pack. You can see him just poking his head out over there, along with the Katana and the Natalie J. We see the Wizard and the Windquest both on port tack, going towards the beach. These are two of the three leading boats in the regatta right now. 1 point apart, out of second. Wizard in third, 1 point behind Windquest, who's in second, 2 points behind the Katana. Katana Mockingbird's over. Bob Hughes is over. Natalie J just tacked, and Katana. So we see the whole fleet now begin to go towards the shoreline to start the beat up to the weather mark. Approximately, they're going 1.5 miles to the weather mark right now. So any free air that they can get will be good. With the breeze coming straight down the bay, normally we see it bend around the shore, but with the breeze coming straight down the bay, it will give more opportunities for the guys in the middle to be able to live and not have to get really close or snuggle up to that shore over there. With this type of race, there's a lot of play that will go back and forth. And especially as the breeze picks up, we'll see it begin to move around a bit, probably more to the right than anything. We see the leaders continue to go. And they were the first boats to attack. If these guys up here above them get lifted, it will be hard for those guys to cross. Right now, the breeze is really consistent, and it looks like all the boats are even. So as we look at the lineup coming across of the leaders, you've got all the way in the middle of the bay is the Natalie J, then the Katana, Heartbreaker, the Usual Suspects, Mockingbird, Prospector, Windquest, and the Wizard. All these boats are on port tack. Everybody but the Fjord is on port tack right now. Breeze is picked up. You see everybody out hiking, which means the boats are powered up enough that they can actually get the team hiking. And once you can get the team hiking, it gets the boat sailed to its top end potential. Hooligan now comes over. She is in the middle of the bay. Again, all boats on port tack heading to the right. A long lineup. We have a lot of great sailors in this fleet this week. Natalie J with Cora sailing their father-in-law, Bill and Sharon O'Neill's Natalie J. It's got Brett Jones, David Schreiner, both from Quantum Sails. George Pete, world champion, J70 world champion. Ian long draw, long port tack here. From our angle right now, we're out in the middle of the bay we have gotten pictures of all the sails to figure out who's making a gainer. Fjord finally tacks. Now all boats are on port tack. From this view, you can see the Windquest and the Wizard and the boats in the back. Any header here puts those two boats at a big advantage. But at some point they have to cross also, and it's going to be so everybody's patiently waiting for the next wind shift. What the Wizard and the Windquest are doing, they're going to try to hit that shoreline and create their own wind shift as the breeze bends a little on the shoreline. The boats have scattered pretty quickly. Be an interesting protest between the Mockingbird and the Wizard. Mockingbird attacked over to port right at the start, thinking she could cross and couldn't, and for some reason she's protesting. We'll be interested to see how that comes out. The Wizard and the Windquest have kind of stepped out on the pack. Wizard to leeward. They're going to get into what we call Lighthouse Point up there, and that will be their tacking spot, or the first boats out. It's a beautiful sight here on the shores of Lake Michigan. I tell you, it's drop dead gorgeous, and for people who've never been up here, one of the best sailing bays in the country. Fresh water. Gotta love a bay with fresh water. So we've got a couple of distinct packs of boats. You've got the Wizard and the Windquest. You've got the Katana, the Natalie J, and the Heartbreaker there in the center. And then you got the Mockingbird and the Prospector also bunched up. From our vantage point, it looks like the two lead boats have kind of stepped out on the fleet, but nobody's tacked out yet to confirm that. So the first leg is actually 2.5 miles and at 287. So that says and that goes to F, which is a little bit offshore. Probably won't let you don't have to go all the way in. Windquest is the first boat out. She tacks out. Now Wizard follows. These guys have they're up, big up angle on starboard. But with the fleet scattered as far out as they are, it's going to be hard to tell where they are with the other boats. Windquest goes back in. One of two things: she couldn't cross, or she really liked the shoreline in. A lot of this course is, especially this first leg, for all of us who's done this over the years, it's a short tack up the beach, and almost like on the city front in San Francisco, when do you leave? When do you get out to go across? And that is what we're going to see here today. Wizard continues on. WindQuest on port, going back into the shoreline. Prospector tacks also as more in the middle of the fleet. WindQuest crosses behind the Wizard, going to the shoreline. Katana out here. The one thing that these guys have to be careful of, and that is you don't want to tack too often. You let the Katana, who's on the outside, or that little group, the Katana, the Heartbreaker, you don't want them to gain because you've tacked so many times on the shoreline. So it's a little bit of a chess game here of how we're going to exit off the shore. WindQuest in a tough spot as she's going to keep getting pushed by the Wizard. But Steve Hunt on the Wizard has to understand, and I'm sure he does, that we just can't keep pounding these guys. We got to make sure that we cross and put Katana. They have to put points on the Katana to win the regatta. They're 3 points behind right now. And there's still a lot of racing. This course is 12 miles long. WindQuest hips up on them. We're about to see the first crossing of that fleet in the back, the Katana, Heartbreaker, that group. And we'll get to see a little bit of the gainers that have been made by the two boats that hit the shore first. Wizard goes back again to hit the WindQuest, feeling they're pretty comfortable. And since they are only 1 point behind the WindQuest, they would love to put a boat between them and the WindQuest. They're clear ahead. And what they're going to do here is hit on them and try to keep them in bad air for as long as they possibly can. And there goes their tack. WindQuest goes back in. It's hard to tell. They look like they're 100, 150 yards off the beach, and so they're short tacking in this 150 yards. The Wizard probably 200 yards ahead of the Katana now, as that group is coming off the beach for their first tack in. WindQuest, because there's a little dip in the land, they got to go in a lot further. They have to be careful about, they've got to be able to get off the beach and not overstand the mark, which we've seen happen here so many times before. So the Mockingbird, Heartbreaker, Katana group, still there goes the Heartbreaker. She's tacking in. Wizard tacks back on to maybe get another piece of the WindQuest. We're going to see a couple of boats go to the middle and avoid the tacking duel or the short tacking up the beach. And they're going to try to make their gainers by having less maneuvers. Wizard hits on the WindQuest, a little gainer on the WindQuest at that time. And that's maybe another reason that they're hitting on them. Bob Hughes and the Heartbreaker also going into the shore. Borgalotti on the Natalie J coming across. It's going to go into the shore. WindQuest again goes pretty deep in there, feeling like they still have room to play. Before they even tack, the Wizard tacks over on them, tacks over to get a piece of them. So there must be making gainers out there for the Wizard to tack before she even sets up onto starboard. A lot of action here. We see the Natalie J, who is just behind the Katana, making her way into the beach. Wizard, still maintaining her lead on the WindQuest, will come and hit on her again and make the WindQuest sit in bad air. She doesn't have a whole lot of runway to go back to the beach on. There goes the Wizard. She's on her. And again, they got to keep their eye on these boats that are out on the hip, who are not tacking at all and just going to go right to the middle of the bay. Tough spot for the WindQuest right now. She's damned if she does and damned if she doesn't. She's in bad air of the Wizard. She could take a little short tack, but that's a lot of tacks for some of these boats who hasn't tacked at all. Here comes the Mockingbird all the way across. She'd been out in the middle of the bay. It's her first tack in, or maybe, yeah, her first tack into the beach. She's going to make a run to see how she's doing with the leaders. She makes her first exchange now with the. She cannot cross. She basically short tacks on the Prospector and on the Katana. I don't know if she got all the way up to Katana. I'm sorry, that wasn't Prospector. That was Bob Hughes. And now both boats tack. So she got to both of those guys, which are going to send them into the beach. WindQuest hangs in, trying to live in the bad air of the Wizard, and the Wizard just keeps stepping out on the fleet. Mockingbird comes back. Prospector tacks back early back onto starboard. Prospector, we'll see if the Mockingbird wants to go all the way over to the Katana. WindQuest keeps losing, but decides that she's not going to take any more chances going back into the shoreline. Will take that kind of lured position and try to live there, step out underneath, and let the Wizard the Wizard then just continues to kind of dominate that group, which is easy to do when you're leading. So now we have the Mockingbird, the Heartbreaker, the Katana, all on port, going to the beach. They're 150 yards behind the Wizard and the WindQuest. WindQuest is going to basically take her, stay where she is, and see what the Wizard wants to do with the boats that are going to be on the shore. Wizard's going to have to pick her priorities, whether it's going to be the WindQuest or to make sure she hits up on the guys on the shore. Right now, Wizard is on. She won't go back out. She is on or very thin on the ley line here at the weather mark. WindQuest is not going to hit back out there because she's not going to take a chance of overstanding. She'll take her position at second as she comes into this mark, and there's still a lot of racing for her to try to make a gainer on the Wizard. Steve Hunt, Charlie Enright, Richard Clark, all with Peter Askew on the Wizard, have done a great job of getting out early and then hitting the beach first. Here we go. We're going to see all the boats on the long starboard tack coming in. WindQuest now in clear air, so she's lost to the Wizard, but she's got a good position. She's got a good position on the other boats. She'll wait till she gets up here closer to the mark so that she doesn't have to call the ley line from so far away. And it looks like Katana is leading that second group. It looks like the Katana, the Mockingbird, WindQuest now tacks. Asker and the Wizard seem comfortable where they are. They feel like they're going to lay. It should be a short tack for the Windquest, who comes right back over. Windquest Wizard put probably 60 yards on the Windquest by that tack on, but Mike Menninger and Nicolas Chachette basically took their chance, said, we're playing conservative. We'll take our second in here and let's see how the rest of the course looks. Here comes the Wizard. You see her protest flag flying. She's protesting the Mockingbird. He takes just a little bit up to make sure he clears the mark. There you see the spinnaker and the shuttle going up the headstay. And there's your first boat around the first weather mark of our race here on Sunday. The Wizard, Peter Askew and this Wizard team. Following them, the Windquest. Matt Cassidy on the bow, sail going up the shuttle, up the headstay. They go around. There's boat number 2, Dalton and Doug DeVos on the Windquest and team. Good set. Team's out. We have a great spectator fleet here today. I mean, watching all the boats, but we have 25, 30, 40 boats here at the weather mark. Wow. In second place, great job by Joachim Oschenberg and Chris Duhan on the Mockingbird. They come in third. Borgalotti's is going to shoot up with the Natalie J to come in fourth, and Katana right behind them, just above them, half a length behind. Spinnakers are out the end of the poles. Sails are going up. You have 5 boats around the first mark. Bob Hughes in fifth. Bob got a little caught up in that group in the tacking duel and probably didn't make a hard enough play either to the shore or to the outside. Good on Chris Duhan, who hung out and let the tacking duel develop and was able to manage the group behind him and lead them into the mark. Bob and the Heartbreak team is around. His red spinner goes up the shuttle, and there he goes, red spinnaker up. Bob's around the mark, followed by the Prospector, and then they'll be followed by the Hooligan, the Usual Suspects, and the Fjord. Fjord racing her first race today in the 52 series with a little older boat. We welcome him to the class. Now the boats are going to reach across the lake. You're looking at the Prospector, then the red spinnaker is Bob. In front of him is the Katana, then the Natalie J, the Mockingbird, Windquest, and leading the pack is the Wizard as we cross the bay. Going down to M, which is a mile and a quarter from here. Mile and a quarter, I get from Tommy Giesler, the Windquest project manager and boat driver today, a mile across. So this is a tight spinnaker reach, which we don't do very often in this class, as most of our legs are windward lured. So everybody's all hiked out, stretching the spinnakers a little bit beyond what they were designed to do, but everybody's in the same predicament. Tight reaching with our A15s. The lead difference between the two boats haven't changed. Like I said, this is the second and third place boat. And right now, if this regatta ended like it was, Wizard would be winning the regatta with Katana in 5th place, and Windquest would be second. Beautiful spectator sight, watching all the boats tight reach with their spinnakers up across the lake, across the bay. They're going to come to the mark where we call this. Next, so we're going right now. We're going to. This is called Forest Beach, and it's a mark across. And then we're going to go on a run to what they call P for Petoskey, which is the city next to Harbor Springs, named it after the mark after the city. But it'll go to a dead run. So these guys will come around, square back, and then each pick a side of where they either want to go to try to go to the beach or the shoreline over here on the other side of the bay or to the middle of the lake, the bay. We now have all boats around the weather mark. Wizard's doing a great job, just ever so slightly, because even though they're all 52 footers, there is subtle waterline difference in this. The Wizard is just a slightly longer boat and does a great job on these tight reaches, which in our windward lured races, as I said, we don't see very often. Up to our left, we have the J70 fleet where they're racing. They've got about 15 boats, and they have their own line just to the west of us. The spectator fleet has stayed to see the next two classes come around, so we only have a few boats, which has been good for the 52s as they don't have a lot of spectator wake for them to go through. On your screen, you see the WindQuest chasing the Wizard. Wizard's now probably 450 yards from the mark. The run will make a good opportunity for the WindQuest if she has any chance to catch her. To kind of maybe separate, following her would probably it's not going to be what she wants to do. We'll see these guys as they start to pull. They're starting to pull up their spinnaker staysails as they're going to go dead downwind on the run. WindQuest already has hers up, and we start seeing all the boats in the back begin to fly theirs. The spinnaker staysail will add a little speed, but it makes the spinnaker harder to fly because there's so much in the slot, so much activity, or better yet, so much interference with the staysail. Staysail was made for downwind, but you could use it here as a spinnaker staysail. It's just not as effective. All the boats now have their staysails up. Here comes the Wizard. We have the Sea-Doo spectator fleet following them. We come in here to the mark to watch them round. We're going to see them roll up the staysails, square down, and either jibe, or if they don't roll it up, that probably means they're going to stay and just bare way set. So we see that the Wizard is going to jibe. They start their jibe as they round the mark. Nice late main jibe. Main's over. Spinnaker needs to get eased out as it does. There we go. Staysails out, and they're off. WindQuest preparing. They too will jibe. So it must be favored to this. The leg is favored for them to stay on this jibe. Spinnaker's over. Main's over. Nice job. Staysail beginning to come out. Brad Farrow trimming the chute, eases it out. From Chicago, Chris Duhan. Dave Tank on the bow. Staysail comes in. There goes the spinnaker around. Main's over. Nice job. Phil O'Neill and the Natalie J comes in. So it's a one-sided run. Spinnaker's over, main's out. Main, perfect. They keep the main in to try to keep the nose up out of that jibe. Here comes the katana. Great work on the katana. Bob Hughes on the Mockingbird with their red spinnaker. Coming around. There goes the shoot around. Beautiful fill. They got their takedown line kind of caught up above the clue, but they'll get that sorted out. Main's over. And from New York, here's the prospector. From Newport, Rhode Island, actually. Larry Landry and Paul McDowell. Nicely done. So here's our lineup of the top 7 boats. It will be really tough for the WinQuest now if this run is so one-sided for them to take anything out of the Wizard. It looks like only 3 fleets are on our course. We see a lot of boats coming up wind. Like I said, we have 100 and some odd boats here racing and divided up into possibly 8 or 9 fleets. So they will start coming up from behind. During the middle of this race, we will start going in and out through fleets, which adds a little bit to the tactician's, I guess, nightmare, if anything. Jim Hune on the Katana with Morgan Larson's got to be thinking away of where they're going to try to catch a couple of boats to maintain their lead. They're now in 5th. They're going to need to get to 3rd. Long port tack reach across the bay, or down the bay now to the bottom, to Batoski. Gorgeous sight of all these 52s against the Michigan shore. It looks like the Wizard has put a little bit on maybe a boat length now on the WinQuest. With all the spectator boats, you see a lot of spinnakers jumping around on the boats. The spectator wake and the spinnakers are not a great combination in this marginal condition. So to recap, we had a great tactical dual beat up the shoreline between all the boats. Chris Duhan stuck it out in the middle and then came in late in the leg to come into 3rd and pass the group that he was with. The Wizard took the lead early and hit on the WinQuest, and at some point when they got close to the ley line, the WinQuest had to come out in bad air, which put the separation because they were very close until then. And that's kind of Then we have a reach across, and now we have a reach down the leg. The breeze has come in. We've got now probably 6 knots of breeze, 7 knots of breeze, which is 3 knots more than we had at the start. Uh, when we get the heat like this, the thermal in this bay comes in, and as the afternoon grows, we'll have more and more breeze until about 5 o'clock, and by then it'll be done. As we approach the starting area, which is close to our lured mark, we see that the last of the fleets are just now starting. So the whole fleet now is racing. We see the Natalie J trying to make a play on the Mockingbird, which is going to be interesting because Tana can just kind of stay down. Mockingbird is coming up. The Natalie J is coming up. We're going to figure out who. It's a tough decision. Do you keep trying to go over her, or do you basically at some point not want to lose any more distance to the rest of the fleet? Interesting play. Now the Mockingbird has basically stepped up and made a commitment in front of the Natalie J, and that little battle has stopped. But he puts them pretty high up. When I say high up, above the rum line to the mark. The breeze is shifting a little bit. These guys are having a tough carry, which was started out to be a one-sided run, is now a pretty tough spinnaker carry. Now we see the Mockingbird trying to make a run on the two lead boats, and they can't just sit there. They have to actually defend a little bit. Where's our mark? Where's the mark, Tommy? Tommy, where's the mark? So now we've gone above. These guys are going to now have to jibe to come in, which is going to put a different light. These guys are really tight reaching. The Mockingbird has pushed the whole group up. Katana have in this whole exchange, Katana has struggled to keep up with the pack. Maybe she's dropped down on them, but this group has kind of walked away. The Wizard has made a play and now is over the WindQuest, and they've got in that lineup. Good move by Chris Duhan to actually get up in there. That whole thing started with the Natalie J trying to go over them, and they're rolling up there. Now trying to make a run on the Wizard. She's on fire. The Mockingbird up there. But But we all have. Oh, she just got the air of the net of the wizard. See her spinnaker collapse. Wow, that's impressive. And the wizard just rolls over the top two boats to take the lead. Maybe a breath of fresh, maybe a little bit of sigh of relief for the katana. Been a huge wind shift here. James Lynn, world renowned coach, also on boats, going, man, this is crazy. But it's been a huge wind shift, which has let this whole group go up. Now we're going to be wondering if what's going to happen. Somebody's going to have the nerve to drive out of here. Chris Duhon definitely made the most of that wind shift. And I see now the Katana not playing that game, although it looks like they've gained distance, really has made a nice step down. And it's going to play the long game and hopefully have a piece of some of these guys when they come in and jive. So we see the lineup of the Mockingbird, the Wizard, Windquest, Natalie J. And below them with the Katana san in Japanese for K, or maybe katana, the word katana. You see that on spinnaker, and then the red spinnaker of Bob Hughes, and then the prospector. Who's going to be the first to job out of that lead pack? That is going to be a tough decision. And here's your answer. Wizard is the first boat over. Going to try to. There goes the Windquest. There goes the Mockingbird. Bora goes behind. He's going to try to figure out. These guys are tough, tight on the. It's a tough carry, tight on the tight carry. They're VMG. Katana jibes too. So this is interesting. Katana actually has a little playing room to go down. Should they get any breeze, she could come down on them. Tell you what's going to happen. They're not going to lay from there. And if they don't lay from there, now we're going to see jibs go up, and that's going to change this whole game around because they cannot lay from where they are. That's what makes this race so challenging every year when we come here. Big wind shifts. Now, very interesting. Boats in the back. Bob Hughes, the prospector. They see what's going on. They jibe immediately. They possibly can carry. They definitely will have gone less miles for sure. The leads both struggling to keep their chutes full as they are as tight as they can be on the wind to get up to the mark. Wizard actually has a good angle there, going well. Mockingbird is up too. Now as we talk about, wind has shifted again. Now these guys who could not carry 2 minutes ago are overstanding. So we'll see where we are from there as they come in. With the new shift, it puts the katana almost too deep to make a move. And back on the course with Bob, he can't carry either. So it's just a tough scenario as we've got 3 different breezes on the same leg. Now Katana is up. So actually it wasn't a gain for her, maybe a slight gain. The three leaders are struggling to keep the boat up and get. They want to get as high as they can up here to make sure that they lay in this breeze. There we see the spinnaker collapse on the Wizard, which means she's too high or it's another wind shift. There she goes to fill. So she's down 20 degrees for a fill, and so is the Mockingbird. WindQuest hasn't gotten it yet, but they will. There goes the WindQuest. She's got it now. WindQuest coming down with the chute and decides she's going to go do this on jib. That's a ballsy move. Or they're going to change spinnakers, one of the two. Wizard going up with the jib. Mockingbird going up with the jib. Now this will give the Katana room to come down and possibly gain up on these guys as down there for the next half mile will be light air jib reaching. Not a great angle for these boats. And Katana, the only thing that happens here is the only way Katana doesn't make a gainer on this is if she can't carry either. These guys are having a tough time laying right now with the jibs. All hell is breaking loose out here. From the great words of the movie, just when I thought I've seen it all, I ain't seen nothing yet. Well, that describes the leg of this race. Big gainers here on the Katana. All these boats are going to lay. They're coming in. Katana is struggling to keep her chute up, but every second she keeps it up is a huge gainer for her. She can lay the mark with the chute, and that could put her very close, if not in first. Many times in this race, we have seen that the boats in the back, sometimes you poke out too early, and the boats in the back have opportunities to catch up. This is only the halfway part of this race, so we still have another 3 miles of who knows what will happen. I have to admit that Chris Duhan, Joachim Aschenberg have done a great job in this whole leg. Rolling over in the weather where they had the breeze, the leaders, being the lowest boat now here, coming in with a good, and here comes the Katana. Won't be ahead of Chris, but will definitely be ahead of the Wizard and the WindQuest, as all four boats will be very close as we round this mark. So we're going to have a short beat here from Petoskey. We're at Petoskey. The four boats so are very close together. Katana comes from a strong fifth place to second. The Mockingbird goes from third place to first. Wizard in third, WindQuest in fourth, and Bob Hughes is coming up, compressing with the Natalie J, and so is the Prospector. They're rounding up. Chris rounds, booms across. A little early on the jib, but the whole part is you got to accelerate out of here. Room at the mark with the Wizard on the Katana. Wizard jibes around. Booms are out. Accelerating out of this mark is going to be pretty important. There we go. The Heartbreaker taking a shoot down has a tough takedown. And at the time, it's now let the Natalie J get inside her. She's going to be inside at the mark. A wide turn for the WindQuest to try to get up inside the Katana, who's already up pretty hard on the breeze. You see the the Natalie J and the Heartbreaker just rolling on top of the lead pack. Light air. Problem for some of the back boats, such as the WindQuest and the Katana, is that this is a fetch or pretty close carry. WindQuest has let herself get low of the group, which is not a great place to be right now. They need to struggle. Everybody's got to be fighting for clean air here. As we thought the sea breeze was going to come in earlier, it seems to have dissipated, and actually breeze, instead of going upwind right now, has lightened up and gone upwind left. Mockingbird stepping out on the pack, as she should in this condition. WindQuest struggling to find her spot. Wizard in the gray spot in second place, just kind of biding her time. And Tana, again, has done a great job of getting hipped up on the Wizard so she has clean air out of there. We see the Natalie J heading up along with Bob Hughes because they have the breeze to do it. It's a great, you play your chances of where you think the breeze is going to be later on in this leg, whether you go high or low. WindQuest is taking the low road, hoping that these guys maybe play around with each other and that she can take the low road around, very similar to what the Katana did. You see the crews really playing the weight game, moving the weight up and down to try to keep the boats going at their optimum speed. Very interesting. Now we're going to see the top three boats kind of in a protective mode of not letting anybody pass over them. A lot of strategy going on out here on where we think the breeze is going to go. WindQuest now in clean air and rolling. The top three boats really high on the course, almost like beating. And the mark we're going to is from Petoskey to M, which is dead in the middle, that's M, the middle of the bay. So we've got all the fleet on a pretty high mode. The WindQuest underneath. This is a short leg, about 1.5 miles. And we're beginning to see the interaction or the interplay between the other fleets. So there'll be boats going through the class throughout the whole thing. The boats have the lead boat. The Mockingbird has now settled down into a course. So those guys are not as high, but we see the boats like the Natalie J and the Heartbreaker and the Prospector up pretty high, trying to get some type of leverage on the group. WindQuest continues to play her game down low. Katana, with a great comeback after being so far to be back in it, is playing the high game just above the Wizard. Now it's when it gets tough. We've got all these spectator boats all around. We got the race boats going through the race boats. It makes it so hard for especially the trimmers, the main and jib trimmers on all these boats, to keep the boat going. We'll see a lot of crew members in and out, depending on the wind and the wave set. Interesting play by the WindQuest on the low road. We'll see if these guys come down to her or she's going to have to go up to him. If she has to go up to them, there's a good chance that she could actually lose to Natalie J. As we're flying down the bay to the middle mark to get a better feel for what their wind angle is up there. WindQuest definitely has clean air. Now these guys are all beginning to show a little bit of a bow down, not much, but a little bit of bow down, which is good news for the WindQuest. As we approach the mark, all of these guys, the top line group, they can lay and they're reaching the mark. WindQuest, if we get any more breeze to the left, will be in a great spot. If we get breeze to the right, she is going to be suffering. Chris Duhan and the Mockingbird doing a great job in leading the pack to the mark. Jim Hoon and Morgan Larson on the Katana still playing the high road. The problem for the WindQuest is right now the breeze somewhat or at some point will be coming through that fleet, and it will be hard for them to make that gain with the coming underneath all of those boats. As we approach here, it looks like early goings show that the high boats are going to have a great advantage. It's going to be a tough for the WindQuest to make it up here. All boats, the whole fleet now is on the long port fetch into the M mark. And to make it even worse, or not worse, but more challenging, is that they're going through the fleets of the fleets are going around them, so they're getting a lot of broken up air here. WindQuest is now up. Now we're seeing all of these boats kind of jockeying to make sure they stay in clean air as they go to round. Even though it looks like the WindQuest is going to lay from down there, I still think it's going to be a really tough row for her to hoe to go through the lured voids of all of the sails because it's like a little train. She's got good air in front of her, and she's at a good angle. Interesting, these boats have overstood a little bit in there, so if there is any gainer to be made by the WindQuest, it's at the end of this leg because she's going to be coming with a better wind angle than they are. Very well calculated risk by Mike Menninger and Nikolai Straszewski as they come up to the mark. Really well sailed leg by Chris Duhan on the Mockingbird. There shoots up. We're going to, I say, go get ready to round. Leaving the mark to starboard. Bow guys up, getting the chute ready. And it's up. Cody Shop on the bow of the Wizard, setting up in the shuttle on the outside. There goes the sail. Bearway set. WinQuest struggles and probably loses the Natalie J just due to what I said, the big void that had came from all these sails rounding. Katana, bow at the mark, sails up. They go. Natalie J, Norm Burge, who also was on the World Championship American Magic Quantum Racing on the bow of Natalie J, sails up, as was Matt Cassidy in the bow of the WindQuest. The top 5 boats are less than 100 yards apart. So it's going to, there's still plenty, as we've seen already, still plenty of opportunity for anything to happen, and it can. Spinnaker's up. The WindQuest logo prominently shown, and they're off. Next to the lineup is Bob Hughes with the solid red spinnaker on the Heartbreaker. His wife Laura is mid-bow on that boat. Unique combination here in our sport. Great to see. Shoots up. Came out of the shuttle early. A little bit of knot, but it's going to come right out, and they're off and going. Followed by the Prospector, Larry Landry, Paul McDowell. Is this a fetch or is it a run? You know, is it a true run? With so many legs, it's hard for us to tell. Right now, we're figuring out if this is a fetch or is it a true run. If it's a true run, there's going to be a lot of opportunity, but it won't be until the very bottom of the leg when they get truly dead upwind of the mark. We see the group begin to splay out, everybody trying to get some leverage. Drones back up. Drew Foley doing a great job trying to follow the pack around and keep fresh batteries in the drone. So what is it? So it's a fetch, meaning that nobody's going to have to jibe to get to the mark. As the drone goes up, they're going to go from the Prospector first to the red spinnaker of Bob Hughes to the WindQuest, then to the Natalie J, Katana, Wizard, and race winning boat right now, the Mockingbird Chris Duhan. Very interesting as we don't do a whole lot of fetching in our normal racing. Uh, we would normally have a specialty sail for that, but we don't have that. So they're using their regular running sails, which is okay because they're all using the same sail. Right now, for us, for everybody, it's their A1.5, which is the sail that we would use in this condition if we were dead running. Because these teams make the sail call in the morning, you never know if the breeze picks up. All of these guys will be out of sync probably with sails because, at least for the WindQuest, we went with our lightest jibs, a J1 and a J15, and a A1 and A15 spinnaker. These guys went across the bay. Duhan's done a great job in that passing on the last leg of the two boats in front of him. Wizard has held her position. Katana comes from behind. You know, the heartbreak is the WindQuest, who went from second to fifth. Natalie J holding her on, and this is a great condition for the Natalie J. And Bob Hughes, after having such a great couple of weeks and winning the MAC, is having a tough time in this regatta, hanging there in sixth. Right now, we're looking right from the back of the WindQuest to the leaders. With legs like this, it's just so hard to pass because there's no passing lanes.
Irish to Tannery, which is back down there. There's the jibe.
Irish to where?
T. So they're going to jibe here.
So this thing, because the breeze has rotated, will be a short jibe into the mark, and then we're going to a dead run to T, Mark T, which is on the beach. So you don't have to, you won't see anybody maybe actually round this mark. They'll just, once you round it, you don't have to round it closely. There may be one or two boats that'll want to do that, but they may use the advantage of going beyond it and making a play for the win. Right now, we've seen the Mockingbird doing a great job in staying low and ahead. WindQuest has worked down a little bit on the Natalie J. The Katana just staying there waiting for another opportunity to maybe catch a boat. Race finishes right now. Katana wins the regatta with Wizard in second and WindQuest in third. spectator fleet coming down to the mark to try to see some action down here. Wizard, the first one to pull out. There she goes. She's jibing. Mockingbird right with her. Shoots her over, booms her across. They're on the new jibe. But I don't think the Wizard has anything for the Mockingbird. But that me saying that, all of a sudden, Mockingbird is hard up, trying to get up in front of her to get clean air to get in. Mockingbird taking no chances that something would come up. Natalie J jibes. Looks like a little gainer for the Wizard over the Mockingbird. WindQuest going deep, trying to make a play of, because like I say, you don't have to round this mark because the way the next mark is situated, I mean, you have to round it, obviously, but you have to round close to it because they're probably laying or very close to laying the next mark on this jibe. WindQuest making a stab into the shore. Nice little gainer on the Wizard on the Mockingbird in that jibe exchange. Bob Hughes jibes. He'll be the only boat that actually comes close to the mark. WindQuest finally back there in the corner along the beach makes a jibe, shoots over, boat's turning, and they're on the new jibe. Interesting plan by Menninger and Nikolai to kind of Michael and Nikolai. But this little group is going to be locked into each other. There's Chris Duhan is just not going to let the Wizard roll over him, and there may be some opportunity down there at the end of this leg to make the game. We're here with the 4 lead boats as they're at BMG running right now. Goes the staysail out on the Wizard. Katana doesn't even have a staysail up, stood up. Natalie J does. The Mockingbird does. The WindQuest does. Not that it takes that long to set it up. We do have some of the best racing minds in the world here at this regatta, and interesting to see the strategy that they all have in either maintaining their lead or trying to pass. Mockingbird doing a good job of now stepping out on the, when she had her opportunity to step out on the Wizard. Breeze is lightening up as we go down this run. I don't know who that helps in this fact, but just the fact is, breeze is lightening up. The 4 lead boats are along the bay. Bob Hughes is up towards the center of the bay in the red chute, and WindQuest along the shore. Everybody on a long starboard tack job now. Nobody really closely rounding the eye mark. Well, as we approach the mark right now, Winquist puts herself in a pretty tough spot. It could be tight carry. Nobody's laying right now with their spinnakers. But that just makes all that distance that Winquist went beyond that pack and trying to get some leverage, that much further she's going to have to go with her jib up. But since they're still a mile or so, a mile and a half away from the mark, anything can happen. Boats are struggling to get up here to the mark. The, the top four who have stuck together, they're going to either win it together or lose it together, but they are stuck together. Everybody waiting for that one moment where they may be able to pass a boat here or boat there. Boats are now laying the mark, which they weren't just a minute and a half ago. In fact, a little bit overstood as the breeze now goes a little bit to the upwind right. Spectator fleet zeroing in on it, which just makes this run even that much harder. Winquist really struggling down there. Again, Chris Duhon doing a great job here, staying ahead of the pack. All of these guys fresh off the Mackinac race. This is just a mini offshore race to them, except we don't have the sail inventories that we had at Mac here. Winquist in a bit of trouble down there. She's not going to lay. The four boats up here will. The Wizard trying to get on top of Mockingbird with no luck. Katana just holding her pace right there, as she knows she's winning the regatta now, and it's hers to lose if she doesn't just lets these guys fight it out. And then Natalie J trying to make a play on the Katana. Winquist is now up. It's a better angle for her. No gainer to the pack at all. Where did they go? This they round this mark, and then they have a fetch, a tight reach, or a beat to the finish. It's a shame it's not going to be a beat, which would have put a great little play. We've had a lot of reaching in this race, and the top three boats love it because it's really hard to be passed. Here we go. We get to watch some of these famous GL52 takedowns, spinnaker takedowns. Mockingbird coming in pretty hard on, fetched up. We'll see the chute pucker in a little bit and then come straight down and in. Jibs are up. She comes to the mark. She bears away, going down, and there goes the chute. Nice rounding there. Shoots in. Great job, Chris. Peter Askew coming in, the same setup. Chute comes down the hull, round. Kind of a wide rounding for Peter, trying to get a little bit up on Chris. Jim here with Morgan Larson's. Morgan, we see a protest flag also on this boat. And we got to remember, these top two boats are in a protest. In fact, the top three boats as they round are in a protest. I think Chris is very vulnerable at his protest. Natalie, the platoon rounds. A loss here for the WindQuest, but she's able to fetch in and lay up. She'll have a close race there with Bob Hughes. As all these boats are heading to the finish. Phil O'Neill and the Natalie J round. Phil the third, Phil the fourth on board, with son-in-law of Borgalotti driving. WindQuest comes in pretty loaded up, as she, very fortunate that the breeze kind of squared back, and she was able to come in. She goes to the top of the Natalie J, maybe 60 yards in front of Bob Hughes. Shoots, comes down, into the hull, shoots in, mainsail goes out for the jibe, trying to get as much power as they can around the mark. They'll have Dalton DeVos go wide so he can come close up to the mark, so Bob can't get anything in there. We see the group. Bow turns up. Nice rounding for the WindQuest. Again, this is going to be a very hard leg for anybody to catch anybody, as it's more of a follow the leader leg than anything, unfortunately. Race committee had hoped that maybe the breeze would have gone to the right so that we'd have a beat here, but it's not going to happen. Bob rounds. Right behind him is the Prospector, then the Hooligan, and then the Fjord. Oh, and the usual suspects. Everybody, the pack is, I wouldn't say together, but we have clumps of boats together. Light air fetch into the finish. All boats are now overstood because they just can't go that far down. And it's a weird place to be because we don't have all the sails we normally do. So they're going to have to go up and then probably set chutes to come in with tight reaching into the mark. The top four boats are probably going to follow each other. WindQuest goes, she's not going to leave them because she did last time and it bit her in the behind. So she will probably hang in there. We see the boats in a light air port tack fetch, going to the point where we finish just inside the point, literally right almost downtown Harbor Springs. Drew loads up another battery, and we're about to get the drone back up and follow the leaders in. It's lightening up, which is probably spooky for Chris. Chris has done a good job as he stepped out on the Wizard. Drone's up. You'll be able to see the... Now we see Natalie J making a play down to go closer, getting closer to the... Make a play down, you got to go get closer to the angle to the finish. She won't go to the finish angle, but she'll go closer down to try to make a play where when the chutes go up, she'll be able to be inside of the Katana. Katana quite content but to follow those three guys, the 3 leaders in, the 2 leaders in. Bob Hughes would love nothing more to be able to catch the WindQuest. Prospector waiting, and our 2 other boats have just rounded, the Fjord and the Usual Suspect. So all boats are now on the port tack fetch going to the finish. Natalie J making a big play down right now, pushing the boats down in the little breeze we have to see if she can head them off at the pass. We've been racing now for an hour and 40 minutes. And like I said, it's a very interesting race. So we've had very few runs and very few beats. 1 beat, and the rest has been reaching. You know, I like Boar's plan. Boar's got breeze right now, and so he's going closer to the finish line. They'll set a chute, but they're going to have to go down pretty hard, and he's going to be able to catch up and go into them. He's definitely made a run on the Katana and the Wizard. Like I say, Morgan Larson on the Katana would love nothing more if Boar just goes in there and finishes ahead of the Wizard, and then the boats that he has to beat are all right there with him. The fleet goes through. The fleet's going through the other classes, the class right behind them. They had the same course, and so we're going through their spinnaker. So a lot of up and down with the fleet. Boar continues to make his play down. I think it would be very hard for the Katana to catch Boar right now. One thing about this race, it's never over till it's over, especially here at the bottom end of Little Traverse Bay. We have almost as many spectator boats today as we do race boats. Which is great for the sport. We want people to come and watch us. Chris Duhan now beginning to feel a little itchy with Bora, puts his bow down. WindQuest taking a subtle approach to bow down as Bob Hughes is taking the high road. WindQuest is slowly beginning to take the low road. Bora's made a great gains down here down low. Now it's going to be hard for the second and third place boat. You can't leave Chris as they just watch Bora make bearing and gauge to leeward on the reach. Bora's somewhat of a family boat, although he's got some great pros on board, making a pretty strong decision here. He's got 2 sail designers from Quantum. He's got his trimmers from the American Magic, who just won the Worlds. His bow guys from American Magic that just won the Worlds. A strong, strong team. WindQuest making a. It's funny, Bora is in a little bit more breeze than the other boats. Just Chris Duhan now is beginning to get nervous. He puts his bow down. He's in a little bit more breeze too. If this breeze keeps bending around, these guys aren't going to have to put their chutes up, which would probably negate for his action, except he'll probably pass the katana. Breeze has picked up a little bit as we're coming into the harbor. As the heat of the land definitely is generating some breeze that they don't have in the middle of the bay. Or continues to head right for the finish. This is going to be an interesting finish for sure. We have plenty of pressure in here for Boar to continue to be on that low lane. I'm anxious to see what Yakam and Chris decide they want to do up here. Either they're going to set the chute or jib reach in. But to set the chute, they're going to have to come way down. Very interesting. The boats in the back are now going straight down to the mark. As the boats approach, our finish line is just inside between Harbor Springs and I call it Lighthouse Point. Boats are approaching Lighthouse Point. Chris is still above the point. Boar heading right to the finish line. WinQuest begins to go a little bow down, so does Bob Hughes. Again, a very hard leg. I mean, if Boar passes any boats, it's a hard leg as it was a fetch. But now we get to the bottom of this thing. It's put those top three boats in a little bit of a vulnerable spot. Chris is going to come in with jib only. He doesn't feel that threatened by Boar. And there is breeze up there at the point. If anything, Boar's in a little bit of a light spot right now. Chris heading down, just now inside his bow's heading just inside the point. It's light, and to make matters worse, there's 50 power boats running through here. It's Sunday afternoon in Harbor Springs. It's now gone light for Boar, which is not good news because Chris has got breeze from the point. Chris is going to lay in. Boar actually has, I think, less distance to go to than the Wizard, but I don't think he's got the wind strength to get to him. Chris coming in. Well sailed race, Chris. Very well done, especially on that long reach where just went above everybody, took a gamble, and it paid off. But as we said before, the top three boats all have protest flags up. And I'm pretty sure that the Wizard will go through with the protest for the victory for this race. Chris comes flying in. You see the committee boat right there with the blue flag up. Chris just has to stab the line. Well done, Chris and team. Four now in light air, which is a shame. He made such a great run. It just wasn't going to, just didn't pan out for him. Chris is the winner of our Sunday race, the Mockingbird, followed by the Wizard, Peter Askew and crew. I guess I never would have thought that the breeze would have bent down like that Bora couldn't lay, or he's barely going to lay. But I just don't think he's got enough wind strength to beat the Katana who's coming in.